Conor from Nothing But Thieves.
Hello.
You are a big advocate for mental health, and I'm listening, and your candor for mental health is pretty resolute. Do you think the public and your fans sometimes forget about mental health and the struggle? It's a real thing.
I don't know if they forget. I think they aren't aware enough of it, especially in a UK scene and in a very male-dominated industry. It is, and it's a shame, really. But the male ego is very dismissive of it. And even I was not brought up to dismiss it, but it just wasn't a part of my life. No one in my family went through it, really, other than my sister, which I found out later on that she didn't do anything about it, which is interesting. But it's just not a big part of the culture, and I'm not so sure in the US, but I'm assuming it's the same thing, where it's you're kind of brought up to shrug it off and be a man, whatever that means, and that sucks. So when it happened with myself and dealing with it, and being very present in it and being aware of it, I was like, I need to talk about this, write about this, and make it more aware. And there was definitely an insurgence of it in the UK. Like, there was artists from all different genres, male and female, talking about it, and I was like, this is fantastic. And it actually helped me. Like, these are musicians who were talking about the same sort of thing, like on the road, how it affected them, and one thing led to another and spiral. And it felt nice in a way that I could, even if I didn't have the same story as them, I could picture the fact that I wasn't alone with it. So for me to be able to give that to some people, some fans of ours, or anyone who can have some sort of help from it, or even just a comfort knowing that they're not alone, that's so important.
Well, you mentioned your sister, and do you ever look back and say, wow, that was something that I could tell now that you're more educated on the subject that I maybe missed back then? Or even with yourself, what were the things that, I guess, when you felt like you were unraveling or whatever, are there any warning signs that you are getting that you said, oh, that was my sister too?
Yeah, I think, but I think when I was younger, I must have been about 13, 14, and she's a few years older. I just wasn't mature enough to understand it. To me, it would reflect in the sense of she's temperamental and she's moody and she's not making an effort to connect with me on a emotional level, because and I didn't understand, and we spoke about it, and mine all derived from insomnia, and that's same with her. And I think for me the signs were just so obvious. I mean, obviously I wasn't sleeping whatsoever, but with no sleep, it just sent like currents of anxiety that just grew to levels of panic attacks and stuff like that. And the difference between me and my sister was she was very able to calm herself down and deal with it, and she really took it on the chin and really did well. I think I have had a lot more of a weird situation with the buses and stuff like that with me for touring, where I put the two together and I said, I'm getting all these things from touring, from sleeping on the bus. So it just spiraled out of control, because I was on a tour for like 6 weeks in the US when it was really bad, and I couldn't really get out of it because I was on the tour and I didn't want to let anyone down. So I didn't want to cancel the tour. So I just kind of stuck with it until it got really, really bad at the end of the tour. And I said to everyone, I need to have time off or I'm out. I can't do this anymore. And then I needed to kind of get back into gigging and touring slowly, because for me, just jumping straight back into it would have just triggered me off again. So, yeah.
Do you think your road to destigmatizing mental health, do you think that's fate, happen, chance? Because right now you have a massive platform, from the stage to lyrics. Like how does it evolve now that you're taking it head on?
I think I don't think for me to use it in terms of glorifying the band is not the way I see it. I see it as aside from the band, take all that away, I went through a personal struggle, which was the worst time in my life, and it really affected my friends who were in the band, you know, and it affected my family and girlfriend and that. So for me, it's more about talking about it in a non-musical band sense, like what I've just been speaking to now, and I've written about it and stuff like that, in just terms of being able to be open and acknowledge what you have. That's the way it should spiral. It's a conversation that people need to have, and that's why I want to get out to the public with my platform that does help that.
That's great, because sometimes you notice people start to withdraw or disappear, like as a sign. Like, do you recall a moment where you were going through that and somebody reached out to you like, hey, you okay? Like, was it a bandmate, a family member, or just like someone at the gym that you used to just talk with or whatever? Like, do you remember a moment where you're like, wow, someone showed me they cared, somebody's out there listening? Like,
every single person in the band and crew were at all times caring. I don't think I was the type to there's a lot of people who suffer with this stuff who just keep it to themselves, especially males. I knew that I was struggling, so I was very vocal about it, and I knew I could be, because I have a really, really close group of friends in the band, you know. That's why I call them friends, not colleagues, because they're my best friends from back home. Like, if you take away the music, there still would be. So it's like I had them, and I never felt like I couldn't talk about it, and they always left the ball in my court to choose whether I could stop the tour or not. And I personally didn't want to, because, you know, we just set up shop here, and we just started working, and we were doing really well, and I didn't want to let it go, so I pushed through it, and I think they felt an element of guilt for that too, because I was pushing through it, but I wouldn't take it back, because as tough as it got, I got out the other side knowing myself better, and that's a lesson I couldn't ask to do again. That was fantastic. Like, I figured myself out through going through the horrible period. So
that's amazing. You're surrounded by so much love and support.
Oh yeah.
If you could give any piece of advice to fans or anybody going through it right now, like, what would it be? Just
listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. Have a conversation with your loved ones about it, but act upon it immediately. Talk about it. See the signs. I didn't, for about 9 months, I didn't clock the signs of it. The sleep got worse. I got addicted to certain things to help me sleep. And then all the mental health stuff took a toll after about 8 months of struggling with the sleep. And if I'd thought about it sooner, done something about it sooner, talked to someone about it sooner, instead of just getting on with my life, it wouldn't have led me to go through such a horrible year or two. So I'd say listen to yourself, listen to your body, and have a conversation with someone as soon as you can about it. Don't be afraid of that.
Well, thank you for being so open about that. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, that was perfect, man.